Greetings, everybody. It's time once again for Midnight's Edge After Dark. Do not adjust your set. That's right. Culture Casino is actually here for once. And since the icon is like bugging you here, I'll do this. There you go.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Also tonight with us is Clobbering Times. How you doing?
Hey, what's up, my friends? Good to see you all.
Yes, indeed. Please share out the link. Let everybody know we're live. In fact, I forgot to do that myself. I'm going to do that right now.
Oh, yeah, I did that too.
Hit the like button if you haven't already done that. And yeah, let's say hello to people that are in the chat here.
Hi, chat people.
Hi, chat people. No, we've got, let's see, we got Sean Estep. We got Willie. Willie's swinging around a wrench. We got Cool Gamer here. Ezilla, Southern Viking, Duck Nation. I thought I saw you in here. Sure did. Shrap 3D. Oh, you got a new icon, Shrap. That's cool. Trying to find. Yeah, see, that's what I said. We got Darcipio. We got Southern Viking. I said that already, but welcome. We got FKH C200 2005. There we go. We got that one. Get on with it. We're working on it. We got John Capolla's here. We got Shotgun Fringe here. Working it out and waiting for me. Well, hopefully you're getting your workout in. We got Christopher Dominguez here. Afro Kuma is here. Keely Chow is here. We've got so many more of you. Please, again, hit that like button. Share out the link. I see E. Clay Thomason here. Morgan King, so many regulars. Glad to see you here. Greasy Panham is here. He said I'm the worst, but he didn't say what kind of worst. Am I liver worst? Bratwurst?
I don't think it's that kind of worse, Tom.
Oh. Tex Florida's here. KB says hello. Tiger Valley's here. Hello. We got Grand Adam or Adam as well. And the Waltman's here. And sends in $1.99 and says, TBH, the House votes are more entertaining at the moment.
Yes.
Well, there isn't a lot going on in Hollywood. That's the thing. Because like this is the time of year they're off. Like from like just before Christmas through the New Year. In some cases, possibly up through Easter, I bet. A lot of people in Hollywood are kind of just not doing stuff. I mean, some people are still working and, you know, movies are jumping back into production here. But if you notice, a lot of them aren't starting production until roughly springtime. So there's that aspect of it too. But yeah, it looks like Matthew is pumped for Renfield. We're going to talk about that in just a minute, actually. I mean, do we want to start there or do we want to start with the other one? Hell, let's start with Renfield. Why don't we?
Okay.
This is a movie that just came out, or is coming out this year. We just got a trailer, just came out. Nicolas Cage and Nicholas Hoult, right? So two Nicholases.
Nicholas.
And we'd heard about this movie a while ago. It'd been some time, but we hadn't really seen much. We did get a reveal of Nicolas Cage's Dracula. God, what was it? Almost a year ago now?
Yeah, it was a long time ago. And now that I've seen the trailer, I'm like, oh, looks pretty good.
Yeah, it's a dark comedy.
Dark.
It's it looks kind of the superhero kind of aspect of it took me off guard at first. I wasn't expecting that from all the stuff we had gotten before, but I got a few laughs out of it. But I'm curious what you guys think too. So let's hear what you guys think in the chat. So throw in your thoughts on it if you've seen it, and let's start with Clobby here. What was your thought after watching the trailer? Because you just saw it just before the stream here.
Yes, and I really knew very little about the film beforehand, and it looks like it could be a lot of fun. Definitely something I would probably want to see. Looks like I say, see the trailer for yourselves, but I don't know much about the story or what other than what we see in that trailer. But yeah, something I'm actually interested in, which is rare these days.
Yeah, culture.
Oh, I'm stoked. I'm excited to see this. It's a dark comedy. It's got some horror elements to it. It's right up my alley. So yeah, this looks great. Kind of like Cocaine Bear looks great. Megan looks great. This looks great. I'm excited for it. I do like the supernatural elements and how they're using them. I think that's going to be cool. And I kind of like it that they're taking it from Renfield's side of the equation. So I'm pretty excited about it. I think it's going to be a good time.
Yeah. Matthew asks, do you think Renfield will make references to Universal's monsters or a modification of the Dark Universe? I think it'll make fun more of, or do callbacks to the original Universal Like, I think they're kind of insinuating.
Yes, I hope
Because,
so.
like, that was the whole thing with, like, Renfield. And because that's kind of, the character I think they're trying to make is the ones they had in the original Dracula with Bela Lugosi, is what I'm trying to say.
Right. Yep.
Because
That's
he
what it
gets
looks
little
like.
lives. Not big ones, just little ones.
I think it's going to be great, but I'm
like
weird.
spiders and bugs.
It does look fun, though. Yeah, and I like that aspect that it's going to have references to those old films.
Oh, I loved Renfield in the original. Like, he is just nuts. So I hope they have some callbacks to that. And as far as Nicolas Cage playing Dracula, brilliant. Like, I can't wait to see him chew up the scenery in this.
Well, I mean,
Like-
he will, right? I mean, he's already, as an actor, he's
He already
larger
did in
than
the trailer. Like, literally, he just comes in and he's just like, wah, like.
Of course, a lot of that comes with the cinematography of in that particular shot sequence and everything else, of how it's set up. But I really like that. I really do. Yeah. That Hungarian guy played me in 1931. Well,
Let's shoot this fucker.
Oh God, greatness! Martin Landau.
Yes, I love that. This is gold. I love that movie. That's a good movie.
Yes.
But no, this looks like it's going to be fun. It looks like Nicolas Cage, that is, now that he's out of debt, has been picking some better films lately. Wouldn't you say, Culture? I mean, between this going back to last year, this last year, he had The Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent. Although it didn't do as well to box office, I thought it was a funny film.
Well, marketing was probably its worst enemy,
It came from Bombsgate. That didn't help too. Lionsgate, who don't.
Yes, that's also a problem. But I would say that it also suffered from like the tail end of like, people not really going to movies for reasons.
Yeah.
But I looked at it and I was like, that seems like it's going to be good. You have a rave opinion about it. But I think we're going to get good classic Cage back, and pretty excited about that. What's
They're
up?
more of a coffin protector.
What's up?
No, he's really getting into this. Oh, we got Andy in the chat. How you doing, buddy?
Andy, hey, what's up?
Andy.
If you're not too busy, Andy, I'll send you the link.
Yeah. Keto Simple has the right idea, by the way, ladies and gentlemen.
I could send it to Keto too. We know him.
If you're looking for a healthy way to go about life,
Do I have him on Twitter?
Oh, I don't know.
I think so.
But
we haven't had Keto on here before.
But no, I'm really excited. Renfield is one of those that Renfield is one of those that just it's just going to hit different because again, it's got all that dark comedy stuff in it.
Well, what I like about this, go ahead.
Well, no, I was just going to say I think the only thing that could be negative for some people, and this is just for some people, would be Awkwafina, right?
Yeah, and that's what I wasn't sure about because but at least she's not trying to do the black scent in this thing. Sounds like so.
Yeah, I don't think they're not trying to have her take over the film like with Shang-Chi or anything. Maybe so.
Mm-hmm. No, she's just playing the love interest to Renfield, actually.
And I think
clearly,
to be honest with you, I think she got a lot of flack for her quote unquote black scent.
Oh, I'm sure that's taken into consideration here.
Yeah, so I think she probably washed that fairly clean, and I have to say I do appreciate. Like I said, I mean, I've seen her in a few things now, and when she's not being overly obnoxious because that's what the character demands, she's all right.
I honestly didn't even notice it was her until fucking Klobby said it when we watched it this time.
Oh yeah,
I'm serious. That's like because of the act, like she didn't look or act like she normally does, so I didn't really.
I wasn't 100% either. I was like, is that Awkwafina?
But I wanted to ask. I mean, is this kind of a little sign of like good things? Because even though Renfield is clearly a parody of or takeoff on, Dracula and all that kind of stuff, we're getting kind of a few of original films though that look really good. Cocaine Bear, Megan, this. There's a few other ones I'm sure I'm forgetting on this list, but that to me is encouraging because it means Hollywood is starting to put some money into some of these other movies. 65 is another one that looks like it's going to be fun with Adam Driver in it. So there's a couple of fun movies that are not IP driven necessarily. I mean, like I said, you could argue in quotations that the Dracula, it's a parody of, it's a satire take on it. So I don't consider that, right? Like, to me, that's still kind of an original take on this idea, right? It's Renfield, so like, yeah.
It's a little darker version of like Dracula Dead and Loving It.
Yeah, kind of in that vein. Yeah, exactly. It's more of a parody satire there, not exactly like a sequel to, but yeah. So what do you guys think about that? I mean, is that kind of interesting that, we're getting a lot more original movies this year, it seems like, at least to me?
I like it because we've been inundated with all this IP schmudge, that is just, that actually lowers the bar of the IP. I would be hard pressed to name a sequel outside of Top Gun Maverick. See, I did it, Tom. I got it in. Outside of Top Gun Maverick, that raised the bar or kept the bar the same height when it comes to any of these IPs. Because venturing back even before Ghostbusters 2016, stretching back even beyond that, I would say that we were constant. Yes, Super Omnicron. I agree. But we're seeing we've not seen any improvements on the original IP. Everything's just been lowering the bar.
No, and Hamdinger, this is kind of like, this reminds me more of Transylvania 65000 or the Monster Squad, something along those lines.
Yeah, which is great. That's a great one. We've got some people here in the chat that love that film. But,
yeah, so I mean, it's kind of a satire, but it does have some weight to it. It's not completely bonkers or anything like that. It looks interesting. But speaking of IPs and sequels and movies that seem to have endless, we did get another trailer. And this one I was pessimistic about, I guess, to put it lightly. I love The Evil Dead, especially the films, the original films with Bruce Campbell. I thought the TV show was great. I have yet to see the 2013 or whatever reboot, whatever it was when it came out.
Yeah.
12 or whatever it was. So I can't speak to that, though I've heard good things about it. I do have it. I haven't watched it yet. I do plan on watching it before this, because this seems like it's another spin-off like that was, from what I've heard.
Yeah, so you're gonna wanna.
Yeah. So Culture, go ahead. It sounds like you've seen it. So
again, it's hard for me to deviate too much from the original concept. And again, the last film was okay. This seems like an upgrade, and I'm very excited. The story looks really tight, and the effects in this are just great. And as Omnicron says in the chat there, I'm like, horror is making a comeback, baby. We got Megan coming out this week. In fact, it opened today on previews. We've got a lot of great stuff coming this year. And again, Blumhouse, dude, Universal is making a charge again. And they're going to bring us all their monsters and horror stuff courtesy of Blumhouse. And now that Jason and James are working together, we're set. We're set. Yeah, it's it's just not. Again, it was okay. That's the. I mean, I'm an old school guy, man. So, but this new movie looks good. It looks like it stepped up the game. And this is the kind of stuff I love. Please try to scare me.
Yeah. See, this is the thing about the reboot or remake or whatever you want to call it, because that's the thing. I've seen more people debate on, is it a remake or is it a sequel, than actually whether or not they liked it or not. And then if you asked if somebody likes it, they're like, oh yeah, it was all right. It's like, well, that's not what I'm asking. I'm like, is it worth like my fucking time? Like, and this trailer, I'll be honest with you. I remember when that was one of the reasons why I never got into that, because the trailer, I was just kind of like, for that one. This one looks this trailer looks fun. Yeah. Like this looks like a little bit more of a.
There's like a couple of really dark comedic lines,
which takes me back to the original film. Exactly.
Yeah, it's like, ooh.
And especially the sequels anyway, at least the first 2 sequels. And that's where I'm curious about this one. The other thing I'm curious what you guys think, because this movie was also set to be released on streaming originally, and they moved it up to theatrical instead.
Yeah.
So do you think that's just kind of like, we may be able to cash in because horror's hot right now? Or do you think they have a little bit more faith in this than they initially did? And they're like, oh shit, this is a little better than we thought it would be. We can't just throw this up on streaming. What do you think, Kalabby?
I think I would go probably with the latter. I think they think that maybe horror's catching on right now and everything. So I think that's probably what it is. But how would I know? But I would say that when it comes to the Evil Dead, I really love the original film, especially. Actually, I know it's weird, but I love Evil Dead 2 the most because it's more of a
most
cartoon.
People do actually.
Yeah, in fact, I love it, and I love Army of Darkness, and I love what I've seen of the show. Beyond that, I have no use for any remake of anything ever most of the time, and the trailer did nothing for me personally, because if I want to watch that story, I would just go back to Evil Dead 2 and watch it for the 10 millionth time, which I do. And I'm not someone who even likes horror much, but I don't consider those necessarily to be fully horror movies. It's more of like kind of just dark adventure comedies with a lot of darkness to them. At least the second Evil Dead 2, that is.
Dude, I don't know, man.
When Raimi kind of found his tone, yeah. Before we ask Culture about this, though, we got Andy in the background. I just want to say hello to. Hi.
Hi, guys.
Andy. What's up, buddy?
So go ahead, finish up their Klobby, and then we'll let Culture take over, and then we'll see what Andy thought of this.
I'm done. Like I said, the trailer didn't do anything for me personally. If I'm going to watch that again, I'll just go back and watch the old ones. But that's just me. I don't have a lot of respect for remakes usually, anyway.
Yeah. So, Culture, what's your take on that? With this being moved from streaming to theatrical?
It means they have faith in it. I have faith in it. I mean, and that's weird. I mean, I don't often say that.
Yeah, you had quite the reaction when we watched it before the show.
Yeah.
I was kind of surprised.
I have faith in it, and again, I mean, you're never going to replace the originals, right? You just aren't. I mean, Bruce is Bruce, Raimi's Raimi, and all that. But we'll see. I mean, this thing lit my fuse, so I'm like, I now have another film I'm looking forward to seeing in the theater. That's weird. Because it's been a long time. I mean, I like outside of seeing Megan, which I'm going to go see tomorrow, and outside of seeing the John Wick film and maybe the Guardians film, I mean, there's less than 5 films I wanted to see this year in the theater, which is weird, and this got added to the list. So there you go.
What do you think? Yeah, Andy, what's your thoughts on the Evil Dead, and how you doing?
I'm wondering, is this going to be a sequel, or is it going to be like a reboot? Or
it looks more like a spin-off-ish kind of. That's what I keep hearing. Is it's not a remake. These are all supposed to still be in the same universe.
It doesn't even look like a sequel to the last film.
Yeah, I mean, look, there's such a magic that happened with the first, because you'll meet a lot of people that they either really like.
Actually, I'm sorry, Andy. From what I remember now, I just recalled from one of the things, like one of the girls in this movie, they're sisters. They're related to one of the girls or something like that from the original film. That's what it is, if I remember right.
Wait a minute. So Alyssa Sutherland is maybe, because she's
something like that. I remember reading from one of the things from before that's the case. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt, Andy. Go ahead.
Oh, sorry, yeah.
Well, I'm wondering like what kind of broad appeal this is going to have, because I mean the originals are obviously in cult status now,
yes,
which is great, and you'd love to see them get some attention, and I'm hoping that, and I don't think it's going to be all wokeified and stuff like that, because I'm hoping that especially guys like Raimi, after coming off of Mom, it's probably going to be like a little bit more classic stuff instead of like the modern audience. Hopefully, I feel overly optimistic, but
so Andy, this is okay. So this is like 10 years separated from the last film, right? The remake, reboot, whatever you want to call it. I feel like this is more of its own thing than even a follow up to that at this point. You know what I mean?
Unless they're trying to get like a whole new generation into that have never heard of this stuff. I was actually doing a class a couple weeks ago, like when they had because we went to see the 40th anniversary showing of Conan in the theater.
Nice.
And I was telling a couple people, younger people, like 26, 27, that I was going to see Conan. They're like, "What's that?" I'm like, "How can you not know what Conan is?" And I'm like, because you would think that like once it's there, everybody's going to always know that it's there, but clearly it wasn't the case, and I was a little shocked. But so they might be trying to hook this into a whole new audience, maybe.
This would be the way to go about it, I would think. I mean, you have Xanadu behind you.
Oh, it's getting there.
Xanadu. E-Clay, Raimi is not directing, he's just producing, and so is Bruce Campbell. So yeah. In fact, there's a fun version of the trailer out there, the teaser for the trailer. You know what I'm talking about. They had Bruce Campbell introducing it. So yeah.
First of all, I love Bruce Campbell. There's no you can't out.
Yeah, love him.
If you were gonna get like an old man Batman, that obviously wasn't any that had ever played him before, I would love Bruce Campbell to be old man Batman.
Sure.
I'm weird like that though.
Well, he was fun in that Sky High film too. With
yes, he was. I love that movie. Yeah, he was great in that.
Boomer.
Yeah, that was one that kind of was overlooked. Yeah, the Sky
High.
It
was kind of a dud. I mean, it was okay.
I thought it was fun too. Yeah.
Okay.
Oh man, Kurt Russell, man.
Yes, it has Kurt Russell, redeeming quality right there. But
I feel like it was one of those movies like Mystery Men that was just kind of ahead of its time. Like if they would have brought it out a few years later during the huge height of superhero craze,
very enjoyable.
Probably would have been much more done better at the box office, but been remembered more fondly. Probably is what I'm trying to say.
I think you're 100% right there, Tom. I really do.
You sure?
Because I just watched Mystery Men again here a little while back when the 4K just came out, and God, I'm like, this movie's so ahead of its time. It had to just come out of,
no, keep going.
Because it come out just before I think X-Men did, if I remember right, or just after, one of the two. If it had just waited a few more years, and that had hit just before like Avengers or something, oh my God, it would have been a huge hit probably. But yeah. You win some, you lose some. But anyhow, so the other trailer that came out that you didn't get to talk about, Andy, but it was before you got in here, the Renfield trailer. Have you seen that yet? The Nicolas Cage movie.
I'm looking forward to that. I think that's going to be a lot of fun. At first, when I first heard of Nicolas Cage and saw some of the outfits, I was like, oh man, this is going to be it's either going to be really, really crazy or really great. And I think it was like, from looking at this, it was like it's really going to be over the top, and I think it's going to be a lot of fun. And of course, Nicholas Hoult is, I think he is an underrated actor, and of course the question is going to be if he can rise to greatness, because wasn't he involved with our Lord and Savior Jennifer Lawrence for a while?
Yeah, but sadly, he was eclipsed by her in all those X-Men movies. Yes.
Yeah, I mean, she's basically the original Dracula because she's not aged.
True.
And he broke her heart too, didn't he?
Well, we should go just for that reason alone.
There you go. Exactly. Yeah. Thank you.
It was funny is Nicholas was almost the Batman.
Wow, interesting.
That was who Matt Reeves wanted, but the studio wanted him to go with Pattinson.
I feel like he would have done a better job at it. And I agree with Andy. I want to see what this kid's got, because I think he has that superstar quality, I think. There's not a lot of actors I would say that about nowadays, because most of them are too like Timothy Chalamet, Shamalama Ding Dong. And for whatever, people want to say about him, I just don't see him as superstar material. But hey,
no, because look, it falls into that same kind of category with, the classic men want to be him, girls want to be with him kind of thing. And the exception to that might have been Michael J. Fox, because he was so funny and and the humor is always a good attractant. But I think a lot of these actors today, they're really struggling to find this guy. I mean, he's a big guy. He's like 6'3". He can do a variety of parts where he can play tough, he can play intellectual and stuff like that, as we saw at the Beast. So I'm thinking we'll probably get some good stuff coming out from him. Hopefully.
I hope so. Yeah. Chalamet is not a he's not you're right. He's not a guy anybody wants to mirror or
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that was the same thing that I saw with what's that Dane DeHaan from Chronicle. Like, he jumped in there with Michael B. Jordan. I just never saw him. Like, they were trying to hype him for a while as the new big thing, but I couldn't see him. I mean, he does a decent job, but he's not like, doesn't capture you.
You think despite all of the efforts to the contrary that men want to see actual men in roles?
Well, of course they do.
And so do women.
Feminized.
Definitely. Well, that's the thing. Dane DeHaan is another one of those that was really miscast in pretty much everything he's been put in.
Yeah.
The kid's a real great actor, but he's not supposed to be Valerium.
Yeah.
Valerium should be like Bruce Campbell when he was like 30. Like, that should be who plays him. And if you've read the comics, then you know that. Like, to me, like, he was like, they turned him into a crackhead when he played the the goblin and shit. Like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Like, and that's the thing. He's the kind of guy who's good for like a villain, like a Riddler kind of guy, or that kind of a character, the weird scientist kind of guy. He's not a leading man type.
Right.
Yeah. Well, and here's the thing. I don't know if his girlfriend would have been so miscast if you actually had, because it was what's her face. She's not a bad actress. She's just, what was she supposed to do? Like,
she's got that odd quality that carries over into her roles. And if she's playing, like, Winona Ryder used to do that.
Yeah, it's. I think I agree with you. I call that look exotic, right?
I'm trying to think of her name, and I can't think of it now. I know
Cara Delevingne.
Cara Delevingne, yes.
Delevingne, yeah. It's an exotic thing, right? And it can be an appearance thing. It can be an auditory presentation.
She's got to be a good actress because, as far as I know, she's lesbian, and she's convinced a lot of people that she was into Dane DeHaan in that movie. So,
well, she was, but she's also a freak show because, I mean, mind you, she was into Amber. So there you are.
Well, there's that too.
Yeah,
maybe she learned her lesson though.
Has anyone ever told women about the hot crazy matrix?
And maybe it doesn't work the same with crazy women for men as it does for women. Maybe there's a different kind of way there.
Yeah, different metrics.
Well, they already got to do things funny, so
yeah,
like, dude, it's universal. It's universal.
Like a socket?
No, like I'm just saying,
like Universal Pictures, Vampire.
Hot crazy scale is universal, right? Right?
Is it like the fuck around and find out scale?
Yes. This is the fuck aroundest of times. This is the find outest of times. That's where we are.
Gotcha. Skizzering, yes indeed. Skizzering. It didn't help. You're right, maybe human. It didn't help that the movie was awful. But it's sad because it could have been a lot of fun. It really could have been. And because Andre actually, I'd never even heard of this before the movie came out. And Andre forced us to read some of the comics. He's like, I want you to read the comics and then go see the movie. I have a feeling the movie is going to be a huge letdown. I'm like, Andre, you're not selling this to me like I want to go see this fucking movie now, man.
That sounds like Andre.
Well,
we'll be backstage and you'll say something and I'll be like, that is not inspiring confidence, sir.
He does that all the time. That's what I love about him. He's like, it was like, you do get that. Yeah, exactly. You do get that what you're saying is not helping the situation, right? But he says it in a way that makes it sound like it is.
But let's face facts. Andre is a little sadistic. I mean, anybody who said, like, Mike, you go watch Masters of the Universe. We will wait here.
Oh, God, yes. He has done shit that has made us go, is that against the Geneva Convention? I mean,
that's pure evil.
You think Doomcock's a villain? It's like Andre's more like Dr. Doom, and nobody knows it. Like he's a hidden, like he's like actually more like Hans Gruber sometimes. A lovable villain. No, he's not a bad guy at all. He's one of the nicest.
He's very nice,
genuine people I've ever met in my life. And if I don't say that, he'll probably have me disappeared.
Yeah. I mean, he will definitely.
No, Andre's awesome. I couldn't make fun of them if that shit was true. Come on.
Yeah.
Oh, he's wonderful, but he will send you to your doom. I mean,
he's got a great sense of humor. Hey, we got Mrs. Flu in the chat. Look at that. Hey, Mrs. Flu.
Oh man. he and you and Mikey wanted me and Latino Slant to suffer through Picard.
Huh. Yeah.
We made it through, I
Yeah.
think, one episode fully.
Because Paulie knew better. You guys
And
didn't.
Paulie's like, no,
True.
thank you. And I'm like, dude, I suffered through 4 of these, I think, before I quit. How did you only make it through one? Dude, and I watched it the second time with him. I was trying to give him moral support. He's like, F that. Nope.
Oh, Mikey. Hey. You didn't have to do this, Mikey. But anyway, he sends in a $9.99 super chat. Very generous of you. Thank you, sir. This is about to meet up with Chris Gore to watch Megan. Oh, I thought you already were in the process of. I see Culture showed up for meet. He must have known I was not going to. Well, you did say it in the group DM. That was the problem, Mike. Should have sent that directly to me instead of putting it in the group chat. You made a big deal about it. Now Culture knew you weren't going to be there. And, yeah.
It's like that thing. If something is observed, it changes.
I promise.
The result.
It may just be you, Mike, because I don't think he hates all Mexicans.
No, not all. I'll have to go to bat for you there, Culture. Not all. No.
I tell you what, I will try and show up. I will try and show up, Mike, when you know with the stream with you and Doomcock. I'll show up and say hi.
You know, I got to say this. Since it's been a rough week for me, I got to say this. Culture is one of the most. He takes so many jokes in stride, rolls with them. He has no problems being the butt of so many shit jokes, and I love him. I'm just gonna say that now. Of all the shit I give him,
That's quite a compliment you're weaving.
Oh yeah. Would you, Andy?
Well, you know, I had a little time off because Andre was busy, so of course, you know, I got into fights with some trolls. And then, of course, it was brought to my attention that some, you know, red-haired land whale had to bring my kid into an argument. So,
that sent me over the edge.
Actually, there was no argument to be had there. She just brought him up out of nowhere for no good reason.
Well, there's a reason, and the reason she's an evil bitch.
Yeah, but I'm not going to get into all that here. So, but hey, if you're somebody who still follows her and whatnot, then I guess. There's only so much you can do to be taught that this person is exactly what everybody has said. So, yeah. Only worse, I can tell you that. Wow. You can imagine if she says that publicly, can you just think about what she might say in private?
Yeah.
Well, and again, I mean, it always concerns me.
She's worried about what I might put out there, I'm sure. But
well, again, it always bothers me when friendships end. And somebody elects to take whatever happened in the background public. That shows low character, right?
You know, and this is the last and only thing I'm ever going to say about it. Speaking of character, you know what bothered me more than anything? Mecca doesn't surprise me. She does that shit all the time. What surprised me was the individual who was right next to her and just totally let it go without even an acknowledgement, let alone a rebuttal. You know, somebody who probably should know better. And I think that shows you the character of that other person a little bit more. Let's just say. That's right, Tex. She's got dozens.
I got to run. I have to go teach classes. I will check up with you guys, check on the replay.
That means that we got Spicy. He's got to leave.
No, Andy.
Let's go.
Andy, I love you, man.
Love you, Andy. Take care, brother.
You went the wrong way. It's fine.
Be good, buddy.
You went the wrong way, King Louie.
Yeah.
All right. Have a good night, guys.
Take care, Andy.
All right, man.
We got Brett here. Brett Cohen, how you doing, buddy? Sending in some money from Dawn in Australia. It's got to be like the middle of the night down there, ain't it? Or what is it there?
No, it's like in the middle of the day.
Is it the middle of the day there now? Okay, I never get this shit right.
Yeah, my editor's actually editing right now. So.
Yeah.
Brett Cohen.
Future.
Yeah, you're in the future. So what happens tomorrow? Tell us. Maybe we'll have something to talk about. Andre is actually doing you a favor by watching the painful. You appreciate the good more. It's twistic Nordic common sense. You know, it's funny you say that because it's not wrong. There's a lot of stuff from when I was younger I've rewatched lately that I probably haven't seen since then. But I'm like, you know, I don't hate this as much as I did then. Or actually, I kind of like it.
That's happened to me.
And then Troy has something to say to you, Culture, as well. He says, Culture is a wonderful human being. Actually, the whole panel are. Well, thank you, Troy.
Thank you, Troy,
Well,
and I appreciate the interactions we've been having everywhere. So
Troy.
thank you, my friend. Appreciate you.
as
Good
much
man,
shit as we
Troy.
give each other, yes.
Plus that is a very cool avatar. So
Yeah.
I like avatars. You guys notice I comment on people's pictures all the time.
I do too.
Yeah.
I think they say a lot about a person. Midnight's Edge says, sorry for being off topic, a late question, but with what we know of Darren Aronofsky's Batman draft, would you have preferred that over Matt Reeves' version? Thanks. Oh, I'm trying to recollect what was so.
I can't say I know much about that one. Do you, Tom?
That's what I'm trying to remember. Let's find out what it was about.
But probably
they
couldn't
had
be worse than Reeves. So.
Yeah, they wanted him to do an R-rated year one origin.
Oh.
Looks, sounds like. Let's see here. I'm trying to remember, when was this? Back before Batman Begins. It looks like, I guess. A story by Frank Miller.
I want to basically adapt Miller's story again.
Yeah, that's what it sounds like.
I do like Batman Year One, but I'm not so sure I wanted to.
If you had to put, if I had to choose between that and the Batman, I'd take that.
Yeah, I guess so. I would take that. They cherry pick from that in a lot of those things that they've made.
But I'll be honest, yeah, year one, and I don't know if you feel this way, Clobby, or not. Year one to me is one of the most overtold types of Batman stories we've had. It was kind of the most unnecessary Batman stories ever. At
the time, it was well received. I love the Mazzucchelli art. I liked a lot of things in it. I also dislike some of the revisions that Miller made in it. That's where you get modern day Jim Gordon. That's from there. There are a few other things where he kind of changed the Batman's age up a little bit. Oh, just, after a crisis, he came around and just changed his own changes that didn't even fit with Crisis. It's a good comic. It's nowhere near Miller's best, but yeah, it's been adapted. In fact, they did an animated two-parter that adapted it, mostly verbatim. I don't think it needs to be. It's been used in other Batman movies. I don't think it really needs to be in a movie.
And here's the thing. I don't want to see that story ever again.
I don't blame you.
I mean, like Batman Begins, that was like the very last time I want to see that. Right? Leave the Waynes alone. They're dead. Right? If they would have been able to pick up with, the second film, The Dark Knight, I think that would have been a great starting point, because you're already familiar with the Batman, or he should have been. And the Joker has never been done quite the same way as it was presented in that particular film. I enjoyed every moment of it. Felt like I was looking at some comic book characters that I identified, and I really did enjoy it. And I felt like there was more room to go in that world than there is to go in this new Batman thing that Reeves is putting together. So, I mean, I hope that answers the question, not being familiar with that writer's work. So, yeah.
Yep. They've used bits and pieces of that in movies already. Maybe the Batman Mask of the Phantasm, Batman Begins. There were even there's stuff from it, and even in the Batman, as far as Batman Year One is concerned, it's been picked to death.
Yeah, it kind of has. I don't even know if I really wanted to get into this or not. There really is not much else to talk about right now, other than the DC fiasco crap, which we're working on a video on anyway. And I've kind of said all I can say about that on the Twitter side, and that is James Gunn is the only one who knows anything right now, folks. So I wouldn't buy into any of these rumors, speculation crap until you hear from him. But it turns out Ron Howard made a bizarre claim that Lucasfilm loves the fans and really does listen.
What?
Actually, I could kind of believe part of this, because I'll tell you, in a conversation I had with his brother where we hung out for a while,
he did
tell me, oh yeah, Clint. Yeah, he's awesome. He did tell me that Ron took it pretty hard, the way the fans reacted to Solo.
Oh, I can believe Ron caring about fans. I can believe that.
And he did react quite a bit. He felt like how do you put it? He said something about how the fans had reacted and didn't show up for the movie or whatever. I said, well, first of all, it's twofold, Clint. I said, it's not Ron. Nobody has. If you notice, I know you don't get on social media and stuff. I said to him, but if if you did, you'd notice that nobody's griping about Ron at all. Ron is not even part of the equation.
Right.
I said, well, first of all, you have is a situation where nobody asked for this. This is the last thing on anybody's lists of things that anybody wanted. And he goes, and I said, the other thing is that people are still mad about the last Star Wars film, The Last Jedi. He goes, oh, that the last one they did in the with Luke and all that stuff. I said, yeah. He goes, oh, I didn't watch that shit.
I love Clint Howard. He's great.
He is. He's great. So I told him, I was like, it's not, no, I said, Clint, next time you talk to him, tell him from us that I can guarantee you I'm speaking for the fans when I say nobody held you responsible for any of that shit.
No, not at all.
Like, and I said, if they did, they're just being petty because he came in to mop up a mess. And he's like, oh yeah. He's like, when they announced that the other guys had left, the crew cheered.
Wow.
So, that's what he said. And then he goes, they had shot for fucking 80 days. 80 days and they weren't done yet.
Wow.
So again, I said, so I can kind of see where Ron is coming from saying that. But what's weird is Kathleen Kennedy is claiming the same thing.
Now that's silly.
Yeah. So let's see if I can find this quote here. Because there's a lot of this. This is, and I have a feeling Andre is going to have a thing or two to say about this. Where is it that she said this? Have you seen this, Culture? Can you point me in the right direction? It's such a long article.
Oh, I skimmed this thing. And again, I mean, I'm like, we've heard this before, I think, in various ways, but it's not true. I mean, they attack the fans constantly.
Yep.
I think you're on it.
Okay, let's see here. JJ and I talked about this and talked about Alan Horn about it. About what?
Yeah. No, I think that's right. Yeah.
Revealed the role she made in making Rey the character in Star Wars The Force Awakens. Mm-hmm. She responded by saying it's one of the first things JJ and I talked about and we talked to Alan Horn about. It was a very early decision and choice and something that we worked a long time developing. She went on to discuss her conversations with a number of licensing partners about putting a female character as the main protagonist in Star Wars. She stated, I think the interesting path we've had is the conversation that took place around consumer products, because there were a lot of companies that were in place who frankly didn't initially feel that Star Wars was for girls. See, I think this is where things started to go off the rails. You made a big deal out of it. Had you just done it without even drawing a huge red arrow onto it, I don't know if it'd have been the same.
I think it still would have been.
It may have been. You're right, but let's go on here. She goes, and when you have a company situation where between Lucasfilm and Disney, we were all looking at the situation saying, no, Star Wars, we have to change this. Oh, we have to make sure that we create products that are in a sense appealing to both boys and girls. What's wrong with that? Well, initially nothing. That's the thing, is Star Wars already appealed to boys and girls. That's kind of what I was saying before. And I mean, unless you specifically can come up with a situation where the toy companies were saying something first, Kathy, sounds to me like you're planning that in their heads already. Like, what's that phenomenon called? Culture, not phenomenon, but somebody help me out here in the chat. There's it's like a psychological thing where you basically implant the idea in the person's head. Projecting. Is that what I'm thinking of? Is it? Yeah, okay.
Yeah. It's a form of predeterminism.
Yeah, that's more probably what I'm looking at. Predeterminism. Like you're setting up this idea before they even have a chance to say this thing. So once they say it, it makes it feel like it's their idea. That's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
And that's what these kind of fuckers are good at, especially somebody like Kathleen Kennedy, probably. Because let's face it, we always ask, what is it that she's good at? What is it she does? Well, she has to be a good salesman, I would think, at least in some capacity. Right? I mean, but again, it make it easier for her that she's worked for Spielberg and everybody else her whole life. We've brought that up too. But at the end of the day, she still has to have some fucking talent. So is that what it is? Is that she can, basically force project her thoughts into other people or what?
I don't know.
Self-fulfilling prophecy is kind of what I was thinking, but not quite. Inceptioning is more closer, but yeah.
Yeah, that's
Predeterminism, I think, is actually what I'm more or less. But, yeah.
But I mean, she definitely goes in there, manipulates and gaslights somebody into getting to where she wants them to be, and you know that is a skill. I mean, you can do it. You know, people do neural linguistic programming training to like lead people down the primrose path, but I would be hard pressed to say that she's, you know, exceptionally good at anything other than self promotion, maybe.
Right.
I don't know. I mean, it obviously she hasn't led one quality product to market since she became the head of Lucasfilm. She's run everything into the ground over time. You know, arguably each film did progressively worse as it released into theaters. And again, she was trading on the good name of Star Wars from the very beginning. And so, you know, you have pent up demand from a rabid fan base, and it's not that hard to satisfy that particular fan base. Nothing she did was more than superficially Star Wars. And in fact, she's stripping away the sense of Star Wars with every, you know, thing that she does each time she advances a project or allows somebody else to advance it. Like I said, I mean, outside of Mandalorian, did Andor feel like a Star Wars thing if you didn't know the characters? Oh.
No.
In my opinion, anyway.
Agreed.
I can't wait for this Ahsoka thing. Ooh.
Is that on the way?
Yeah. I see scribe lights in the chat. How you doing, buddy? Oh, we got a super chat from Jim Otari here who says, fun fact, Clint Howard and I have the same birthday, April 20th, 1950. Oh, is that true? That I did not know that 420 was his fucking birthday. That's ironic because I got high with him.
That's what I heard.
I tell that story all the time. I know. John W78 is here. Let me see what he has sent us. It is. Can I see it on my thing here? Where is it at? Somebody else got the chat up. Dang it. Come on. Oh, there it is. All right. It is a good game controller. Thank you so much for that, John W78. We appreciate that. I really wish they would find a way to.
I don't know why they can't port that over there. It wouldn't be that hard. I mean, it's really.
Somebody called it worm tonguing. Sorry. Go ahead, Culture.
No. I just don't know why it doesn't work.
Well, the least they could do is just like you would think they'd be able to take like the info, because like if you copy, like if you highlight a super chat, like this is what it. Yeah, it actually. Yeah, like I'll do it right now just so you guys can see what I'm saying. I know Culture knows what I'm talking about, but like okay, I do this. It actually has the information in the picture of what it is, right? That was me copying and pasting it. I did not write that. So why can't it at least just take that information? I understand not the sticker, but don't you think they should be able to, you know, I'm not a real techie person, but I would think, you know, and then John actually sent us another one. This time it looks like snowflakes. Thank you so much.
StreamYard is
John.
just weird, man.
Yeah,
it is weird. It's very strange. And you know what's funny? Because like I have seen like the back end on some other stuff, and I'm like, how come they can do it and StreamYard can't figure it out?
Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah. People keep calling it imprinting or inception. I think that's basically the word I was looking for. Sorry.
Yeah.
I mean, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead. No, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, I mean, honestly, you can lead people down to their ruin. You just have to know what their ruin is. And from that point forward, you just work them down the tree with NLP to where you want them to go.
Yeah. Yes, sir.
Yeah. So fuck Kathy and her bullshit.
Well,
was there more into this? I think there was actually. So
yeah, there is, and I think Andre's going to have a field day.
Yeah, I think I'm going to let Andre go at
tomorrow.
This because
he's going to tear it up tomorrow.
Well, yeah, we'll either tee it up tomorrow. You're right, probably.
I mean, there's not a lot going on. I mean, outside of like, you know, perpetual voting.
Yeah, this thing is nuts. I'm going to vote for Donald Duck.
I put the duck in there. You know,
yeah.
Little would get done. because nobody can understand what he's saying. So I'm all for it.
Does anybody understand what this duck is saying?
That is one of the best lines in Roger Rabbit.
I worked with a lot of wisecrackers, but you, sir, take the cake.
Yeah, I love that scene.
Doggone stubborn, I'll get you.
Those ducks are funny. Never get to finish the act.
You sounded just like him.
R.K. Maroon and Marvin Acme.
It's reappearing, disappearing ink.
It's a gasser.
I
love that movie.
I do too. It's one of my favorites. Roger Rabbit is a masterpiece.
No, it is.
Indeed,
nice
it is.
booby trap.
Man, when that came out, we were just floored by it, man. We just couldn't stop talking about it.
It was marvelous, right? And like this, the imaging and I was like flabbergasted. It took me a while to get, to all the behind the scenes stuff and finally know how they went about making that happen. I was like, that is really brilliant.
Yeah. Well, not only that, just what Spielberg went through to get it done, and how Warner and Disney actually working together, and each one of their characters gets equal time with the other character, and it's it's. And you got the Harvey tunes or whatever in there too, and a couple of the other ones. But they brought I'm pretty sure there was Hanna-Barbera in there. Yeah. Well, the other problem was Warner had some cartoon characters that were in there on their insistence that weren't even around yet then. I mean, you could argue, they just lived in Toontown and they hadn't got a job yet, I guess. Yeah. But because the Roadrunner's an example.
I love that film, and Hoskins wasn't with us long enough to
I know he was a huge loss, man. He was a great actor, very underrated actor. Not enough people give him enough credit for the shit he's done.
Yeah, I follow Gary Wolf. No, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Gary Wolf, who wrote the original novel, who censored Roger Rabbit, is very active on Facebook, and he talks about the movie all the time. Really great dude, really cool. And you'll like how different it was. Mm-hmm.
You'll like the interview we got coming up that I did with him a while back that eventually will get released. Yeah.
My goodness.
I'm excited.
Yeah. I talked to him a lot about it, especially because I love the book aspect of how in the book it's comic characters, not cartoon characters, and it takes place in the 1980s.
And little word balloons pop over their head.
Yeah, and they tried that. They were going to do that in the movie, but he's like, it just got too much for them to mess with. But it's now they could do it easily with shit. We could do it, on computers. But then that's the thing is the Roger Rabbit came at a time where it was just on the turning point between where it was almost impossible to do something like that, and then computers were just around the corner to be able to do it, and you could do it easily, right? Even look at the difference between Space Jam, which came a few years later, and they still use computers on that, and it had a hard compared to what they did with Space Jam 2, right? But then Space Jam 2 feels like shit, looks like shit, and I'm not even talking about the story wise. I'm just saying the look wise, because it's all CGI. It's none of it's real. But you go back to the original Space Jam, and even though Michael Jordan is practically in front of a green screen through most of the movie, it still feels more real because they were using more of the tricks that they used in Roger Rabbit, than they were using now with Space Jam 2, which they were using all the CGI tricks, which is kind of
Yeah, I mean, they understand the perspective. They'd kind of figured it out so that they could make it look like there was additional depth, and and you could play off of something that was one of these characters. I mean, they did a lot with Michael to make that work, and I liked it.
It was brilliant because also you had a great story to back up all of the amazing technical aspects of Robert Zemeckis was on a roll back then, man.
Absolutely. I mean, and that was the thing is every movie he was making was something was going to work in his next 80s? Film. Yeah.
Oh God, yeah, dude. Used Cars, Romancing the Stone, Back to the Futures 1 through 3, Roger Rabbit. What a record! I mean, just in one decade, right?
Right. And what I also mean is technologically, he would push things forward. The few things that he probably learned on Used Cars from shooting all those cars at the same time and all that kind of stuff probably lent itself to Back to the Future. And Romancing the Stone, which came before that, also led into Back to the Future, where he had a little bit more special effects and a little bit more of how to shoot, make scenes feel like they're frantic energy and stuff like that. And then you move into, like you said, he used all that stuff he learned on Back to the Future and develop into Roger Rabbit, which that then was a huge endeavor. And that actually bled out into Back to the Future 2 and 3 and Forrest Gump. All those three movies, if it wasn't for Roger Rabbit, would not exist, basically.
Well,
So
they may exist just differently. It would have been different
in the same form. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but I loved that. And I look, I mean, for whatever people say, Romancing the Stone was brilliant, you know?
Yes.
And I mean,
but yeah, and I'm just talking on a technical level though, because I'm talking about like he was the guy who basically was one of the first ones to use motion control for Roger Rabbit, which then in turn what made him to be able to do what he did in Back to the Future 2 with having, you know, Michael J. Fox play 5 different people, which they were still doing basically how many years later with the Nutty Professor movies, 10 years later almost. Yeah. So like, yeah. Anyway, with Eddie Murphy playing everybody.
Well, I mean, the minute you can get a camera to follow the exact same path each and every time, you know, you can put a lot of other things in there and just map them on top of each other. It's amazing, you know, and it looks, and it does create artificial depth, and it creates, you know, and it depends on the angle it's shot at. You can even make it look 3-dimensional in a 2-dimensional space. So it's, you know,
Boba Fett's right here. Death Becomes Her is kind of like his bridge between practical effects and CGI effects. Yeah,
freak show thing that he did a couple of times in that movie. I was like, how? Yeah. And then I was, oh, yeah. And then because in my mind, I'm always trying to figure out what's the practical effect way to do this. It's like,
and people forget how many movies it produced. Like also like all the Tales from the Crypt movies and the Frighteners, which pretty much is Tales from the Crypt 3, but whatever.
But and again, because I appreciate the practical effects, right? And all this stuff was being done in this new form of digital and motion control and all this other thing, all the other stuff there. Like they were able to cast different shadows and stuff, which just kept blowing my mind. I'm like, how are they doing this? Anyway.
Well, then he got stuck down this thing, just like Cameron did, where he got so tunnel vision with that fucking motion capture crap. Like, because Beowulf was okay, but after that, they all just were creepy and weird.
Didn't make any
Speaking
money.
of creepy and weird, we got Nick Weiser here. No, I'm just kidding.
Hey guys, sorry for the lateness.
That's all right. We're actually getting close to wrapping up here.
Perfect.
But since you're here now, did you get a chance to see the Renfield trailer or the Evil Dead Rise trailer? That was kind of the main topics of the day.
Did see the one Evil Dead trailer. It didn't look bad. I think it's still a little too early for me to tell what to go off of. So I'm gonna need more before I can make a full assessive judgment. So that's my take on it so far. It doesn't look bad, but I'm not totally sold out. I'm just kind of like, I'm just indifferent right now. Going.
Sorry, I was answering a message in the background.
I was doing is seeing how long we could have uncomfortable silence. Did it work?
I just found out that I actually have a connection to Renfield that I didn't know I have.
What's that?
They filmed that down. They filmed that down here. One of the trucks in the trailer, buddy. My nephew just told me he has a car lot there. He sold them that truck. They sold for the movie to be made for the movie. So said, hey, you got to do a movie. It's a weird, crazy fact, but just strange. Yeah.
So I guess I'll introduce another thing before you go, because I think it's worthy of a quick 5-minute conversation. But do you think James Gunn was lying about the Variety article misleading, or do you think he's trying to do damage control?
Honestly, right now, I don't even know. First of all, he's doing a lot of these political answers. Yeah. Right. He's not telling us anything while he's still denying a lot of shit. Right. So what that tells me is don't believe a goddamn thing that comes out of anybody's mouth but James Gunn. And when he tells us this in a few weeks here or whatever, when he's supposed to announce a few projects, then I think we'll have a better idea of what's happening. I think it's way too soon to be saying this person's sticking around or that person's staying around. Because the other thing we got to remember is that there is a select group of people out there that are trying to put a lot of misinformation out there to make David Zaslav, Peter Safran, and James Gunn look bad. They want this to fail before it even gets off the ground. I'm not going to say what sect group this is specifically.
Yeah, we know who it is.
And they are doing everything in their power. In fact, I know specific people that have even told me that they're doing this, and I have a good reason to believe it's true. So at that point, I've tried to tell people, and this is why I keep saying, nobody knows nothing but James Gunn. Okay, so for right now, outside of the actors that have actually officially announced they are departing, don't listen to any of these quote unquote scoops. Because what have we learned also with the whole thing with Henry Cavill? Like I tried telling everybody, that had more to do with, as we found out, to do with The Rock and his agent. And lo and behold, that's what the whole first half of that Variety article was about. And we were talking about that, 2-3 weeks ago now?
Yes.
So I was trying to tell people, this was never set in stone. Like, this was something they were pushing as this whole other idea. And at a time, it did sound like Mike DeLuca and Pam Abdi were kind of figuring that the next step forward would be just, instead of trying to revamp everything, just kind of soft reboot and keep the same actors. But that's not what James Gunn wants to do. And James Gunn was given the keys. So in that respect, that means Zaslav has to back him up for better or worse.
Oh, yes.
And we have to wait now and see what that is. But I think all the main actors are gone. I think some of them are coming back in different roles. But if the chances of Ezra Miller coming back are pretty slim. Now, do I think they're going to flat out fire him? No, just like they didn't flat out fire Amber Heard. But we know she ain't never coming back. The Ben Affleck, and same thing with him. We know he ain't necessarily coming back, but he ain't made a major announcement at all yet. The Henry Cavill thing, it was almost like, how do I put this? Like, I feel bad for Henry and the situation that happened, but I think it was The Rock's people jumping the gun too fast on what the hell was going down before, because we knew Zaslav was looking for a Kevin Feige. And you can't have somebody come in and do that unless they're going to have full and complete and utter control over everything. And 9 times out of 10, you're not going to want to bring in any baggage from the previous regime, right? So like Paulie said, like, he'll never be fired earlier on Mr. H's channel, and I agree with him. He'll never publicly be fired. So, so Paulie, what do you highly recommend? Did you see Megan, or what are you talking about? I was say, I don't think you had enough time to go see Megan yet.
Okay.
Not sure what he was talking about.
Didn't see the Megan. Okay, no. I was just curious for your thoughts on, because I had a feeling like when it went out, yes, obviously there was rapid fire videos and such coming on it. And my head was, I didn't really have an opinion. I'm like, you know what? I'm going to wait on this one. Because if there's one thing I've learned the last 5-6 years is when you see something, unless you know something's like definitively set in stone, wait. Because then something else comes out. And the last thing I want to do is, let's just say I make a video for it and then I do a correction video. I don't want to be that guy. That's one thing. If I'm like, oh, I think this could be a rumor, but when it's reported as like, oh, this is totally what it is. Yeah, I don't want to be that guy who would have to correct himself 800 times. That to me just sounds way too exhausting and unnecessary when you could just kind of wait for the full story on something like that. And I mean, and let's just say that James Gunn, let's just say that he's lying. Could he be putting damage control and maybe, as you said, not officially announce that he's gone, but just quietly go away after the Flash movie? Because either he's that, and that was our thing, or maybe they're just trying to hope that they can stick it out long enough that the stuff about him goes away because of the behavior, and he's trying to put damage control in the sense that, you know what, don't talk about him for a little bit longer. Let's get people to forget. Because maybe he actually is gone. It's hard for me to tell if he is or is not.
Well, and that's just it. Like, first of all, he's a protected class, right? Yes. Just like Amber. They're not going to directly go right out and say he's fired or she's fired. But we do know that they're probably never bringing Amber back again. And I can see the same thing with Ezra. It's like, are they ever going to make something with the Flash again? And until they do, who knows?
But so I think Yellow Flash either last night or earlier today did a live stream specifically addressing the fact that Johnny's attorneys were suing Warner Brothers
over which part of the
whole participation in the defamation thing or whatever they were doing behind the scenes or whatnot, because I guess there was some discovery items that were.
That'd be interesting to see what comes out of there. And again, we also have to remember a lot of this shit that went down before Zaslav came on board. Right? Like the people that were in charge before Zaslav came in, they were protecting this motherfucker. And they were cock blocking Henry Cavill from being in Superman movies. So we've had a lot of changes in the last few months. And Zaslav has let it well be known that he does not fall into this politics bullshit. He is all for profit. He flat out says Republicans have money too. He's even said Republicans are good for the economy. He said a lot of things that people kind of realize or think that he is, or in some ways, conservative, and that's why they want to get him canceled and canned. They don't like him.
Okay.
He's not like Toby Emmerich and those guys who were all wokeified.
Wokified. Yeah. Okay. No, I just feel I feel like that was definitely a worthy conversation considering that it blew up not only really quick, but it went a million different directions. And then Gunn speaks out a day later and he's saying a totally different thing. I'm like, it's a good thing I didn't say anything.
Yeah. No, I mean, I could be fucking wrong. I'm just going off my instincts. Would you keep the motherfucker around?
Well, you and I know where you and I both land. I'm just trying to figure out what's Gunn's point of view. And like you said when we first started the conversation, no one knows anything right now but James Gunn. And I believe that because even he did say on another tweet, because there was someone who said, oh, he's going to keep everyone from the Suicide Squad. He's going to be that. And he said, don't be so sure on that. And my guess is he'll have some people that will, and he'll have some that are not, because once again, obviously we all know that's his baby that he started with. So obviously he's going to have that attachment. So I'm sure some characters will stick, like probably at the very minimum, Peacemaker and Harley. Now, that's not to say that could be wrong, because I have a feeling that I'm going to be writing that, but it's just I'm trying to figure out, is Ezra gone or is he not? And I think we might not get an official answer on that for a long time.
I don't think that Harley's coming back in that, at least as Margot Robbie again.
Okay.
Who knows? I mean, we'll have to see how her Barbie movie goes. But
that's the other thing is a lot of these actors are getting more expensive too. Sorry, go ahead, Cole.
No, that's true. And yes, I did misspeak and say Flash when I meant that Umbrella guy.
To be fair, they hang out all the time. If we're gonna be fair,
I
can see why you made the mistake.
True.
So let's be fair here.
Because Flash has been covering a lot of stuff lately, and like there's some overlap there. So it's I misspoke, so I feel bad now. Because I love Flash. So.
You admitted a mistake? That's unparalleled. Who does that in 2022?
I make mistakes all the time, and I talk about them and I correct them. And I honestly feel like that's okay, right? Willfully misleading people is a real problem. And that's one of the things that really frustrates me about sometimes when Elite gets put out there and somebody goes with it, that it's gospel. And one of the things that I learned really early on is to state, look, this is what we've been hearing based on, these rumors, or, where, this particular source says X. And it's why when I get, when I get corroboration from another source, like a trade or something like that, when they say something, that's when I feel more comfortable talking about it is something that's somewhat accurate. But as James Gunn pointed out, and Tom was, brought up just a few weeks ago, James Gunn shot the trades in the face like 3 times in 1 week. Like, that's not true. He's like, I haven't even made the decision on any of this yet. I mean, it's like, all right, well, the trades are making stuff up out of whole cloth. That's weird. So we'll just have to see. The DC things are trash fire.
I think we'll have a better idea when we finally hear the announcement or whatever it's going to be, because it's going to be just before the
end of the month.
We're going to start. Well, it's going to the quarterly thing is coming up here.
Oh,
February 8th.
Yeah, so I'm thinking you're right. It'll be right at the end of the month, so that Zaslav will have that to talk about at the quarterly deal.
Maybe
he'll be able to say.
Disney's February 8th. But it is in February.
Around the same time, yeah. Basically, then he'll have that to basically brag about, is that they got this, and this in the works, along with all these other things that are already coming out, and blah, 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 blah. We'll find out then a little bit more. Because that's the thing, is I haven't been able to say much about it, because ever since James went up into seclusion to start fleshing this shit out, my main sources have gone completely quiet. And the other ones that I kind of know from other places, like, I heard some of the rock stuff and some other ancillary things, but nothing directly related to the future. right? Because the future has not been set yet. It's all in James' hands, and that's why I keep telling people that.
Did you see the complete decimation article that Variety put out about Black Adam and The Rock and everything?
Well, that's the same article we were talking about, I believe.
Yeah, I think that's the one.
Well,
yeah,
that's what we were saying is like we already knew this shit about them, and that's what I was trying to tell people. Don't go blaming James Gunn so much for the Henry Cavill thing. It's not his fault. I mean, he made the choice in the end of the day, but he wasn't the one who brought him back in the first place. So that was more on The Rock and his agent. So Mecha J says, have you guys seen the DC's latest issue featuring the pregnant Joker and the response it's been getting? Just more reasons why mainstream comics continue to take a nosedive in sales. You know what? I looked at a few pages of it or whatever that were out there, and I got to say they made the Joker a joke. This is like, it's like they can't even deny they're doing this shit on purpose anymore. We knew that, but it's like, are you like trying to self-sabotage at this point? I don't get it.
Well, but this is not a normal thing, right? This is like a post credit or something. I mean, it's not. I mean, it's like the equivalent.
Backup story. I looked into it yesterday. It's a backup story.
Yeah,
and obviously, it's not been declared whether it is or is not canon in DC's universe. Now, even if it was or was not, it doesn't even matter anymore. And the reason why I say it doesn't matter anymore is because DC, especially not just since the Screw 52, as Klobby loves to appropriately call it, but definitely a lot more so in the last, I'd say, 3 years, they have just really thrown out canon under the window, especially like with everyone having a Batman comic. It doesn't even matter, even if it's not canon. It's absolutely stupid. Like, and it was done with the purpose of trying to put in people's heads that men can get pregnant. That's why. And I've seen some people try to have contrarian arguments like, oh, well, what if happened this time at like some Otterball type of show? I'm like, at this time it would be more accepted. I'm like, yeah, I don't know. It's not that. It's about that. It's just this type of thing, one, doesn't fit Batman and the Joker. It does not whatsoever in any timeline. B, this is not some sci-fi story. This is not something that you're watching of like the Orville or something like that, where weird things like that happen in sci-fi shows. You know, things that don't make sense or always believable happen in sci-fi. This is a guy who deals with a pretty, I'd say, fairly human villain. This is not some weird superhuman stuff like that. I feel like the contrarian arguments against it do not make sense one bit. I think people are trying to look at it as outrage to have outrage. It's not outrage. It's just like they're trying to put this in people's heads that this can just, flat out happen to guys. That's what it is. It's straight up what it is. And if anyone wants to try to contest that, I welcome to hear the argument, whether it was a backup story or the main story. It's neither here nor there. This is just utter stupidity from writers who are not there to write, but to just put their ideas of what they want the story to be about. Because it's not about canon. Writers don't become a character anymore. They have the character become that. Just look at Tom King for reference if you don't know what I'm talking about. That's all I've got to say on that.
No, you're right. That's pretty much what it's all about. It's always about the agenda with the people doing this kind of stuff. Because this is, if you look at that crap, there's no reason why anything like this would ever pass an actual DC editor in the real days when there was DC Comics. But they don't have editors anymore. I mean, they just have idiots that allow anything that goes through there. So, yeah, it's horrific. And it's a shame it's even a story, but they got their little attention that they wanted out of it, and that's all they really get out of it.
And that's the funniest part. It's not going to even matter in like a week. Just look at when Tim Drake with the Robin thing or the I Am Not Starfire thing. These things get all these headlines for what? Not even a week. And then it's just like no one talks about it. No one talks about it. No. So, or even John Kent with the whole Superman gay, even though it really wasn't Superman, they are chasing headlines. And that's the thing. It would be one thing if it was harder to argue if these things were making sales, but they're not. They're just designed to catch a headline, to get points from the Twitter crowd. Social media is the worst thing to be judging this stuff for metrics, as far as I'm concerned, but they do it anyway. And that's not just the writers or the pencilers, the inkers, if there's even any inkers nowadays in DC, but it's the people even at the top of the chain of command. They're all in on this stuff because there's no actual leadership. No one say, hey, this is spelled wrong. You should fix it. Or, hey, this doesn't line up with what's going on in this book. No one's doing that because no one doesn't want to step on the other person's toes over anything. It's to them, it's just anyone could be anyone, anything could be anything. That's what you get when you get the my truth type of crowd. There's no actual standards for which these characters can be measured against or something that is the glue that holds everything together. It's just one jumbled mess. And to be fair, it has been to extents in the last decade, but it's definitely ramped up a whole lot more so in the last 3 years.
Yeah. Yes, it has. And yet no one's buying it. So why should anyone even care at this point?
Yeah.
Nobody buys that garbage.
No one's buying it. And I don't work. I go to one of the busiest comic shops in the state of Illinois. It's been there for almost 30 years. So it's safe to say any store that's been around that long, that's a comic shop, especially in 2023 now we're at, you've done something right. You've done something right. Or you have dedicated customers. And he says that for the last year, at one point in time, since the last 3 years, it was only Batman books or some. But now even the 800 Batman books are barely even doing. Now the main Batman title, even Batman is no longer bulletproof in this stuff because even during the age of the Screw 52, Batman was still pulling in 6 digits on a monthly basis. Whether how we feel about the book is not here or there, it was still making sales. But now Batman can't even do it, and it doesn't help that they Deadpooled him, they Wolverined him. They
85% of their books are Batman adjacent, right? I mean,
Batman adjacent, yeah. And rather than be like, hey, what's this problem? And to be fair, this is an issue once again that dates far back to 3 years. No one learns what's too much. They just say, oh, hey, look at a successful thing and just McDonaldize it. And that's sadly what Batman's becoming for DC Comics. He's their McDonald's property where they just pump him up and cheapen his greatness, his legacy. And it's not bad. None of these stories mean that's the worst part about it, because an average story is an average story, but fans especially will respect it that much more if it matters. Because it's like, okay, this issue is great, but there could be something significant here that could pay off, 20 issues down the line. You don't get that no more. There's nothing there to invest in.
And then Doug 1985 VA says, I hope James Gunn DCU makes money and is loved by people to shut Snyderverse fans up. Well, that's one way of looking at it. I just hope it's good, just so we have some good DC.
Yeah. Exactly.
I mean, if you want to take me aside as far as like what I'm reporting on compared to what I want to see and as a fan, like the only thing that I can say on that level is I like what James Gunn has made so far. I've liked every one of his movies that I've seen. I am confident in that he kind of understands Superman because he's been posting a lot of stuff about Superman the movie and other classic Superman stuff as far as that goes. So on that note, that's a step in the right direction for me. But all things on the table, he could still make a couple of bad movies and I think we'd still be better off where we're at, because at this point, there's not too many other people I can think of who are better off for this job right now. He has to do something to prove me wrong right now at this point. He's not a Taika Waititi. He's not a flash in the pan. He's made quite a few movies. And if you look past his, Guardians films, he has other films that he has made. And they are a bit more diverse than just those, but we have yet to see. I'm not going to say, oh yeah, I'm so confident that I could put money on it or anything necessarily. Depends on what you were talking about. Maybe something specific, but yeah. So there you go. Well, Snow missed the trailer. If you'd have been here and I had you come on, we all kind of liked it. So that's the short end of it. So yeah, with that,
short end.
I think we're going to start wrapping it up here because we've got TNT coming up here.
Yes, sir.
I have a feeling you'll be there and Culture will be there.
Hey.
Clobby, do you have anything coming up tonight?
Yes, the Clubhouse with Raquel and Mark D. We'll
Sweet.
be doing that at 9 p.m. Central Standard Time, and I'll be hanging out with our good buddy Dadman Walking, talking some NFL tomorrow night on this new channel. He needs more subs, and he's a good dude. 6 p.m. Central, and then I'll be with you, Nick and the gang on the comic shop at 8:30 Central tomorrow night as well, and then Saturday
Talking
Night Star
Infinity
Trek.
Gauntlet.
Yeah, and Saturday Star Trek with Raquel. Saturday number 100. Yeah. So,
I was
thank you,
giving you
buddy,
the
for having
snap
me.
there.
Thank you, sir. Snap
The
us out
hell
of
is that?
existence.
That was just my
Snap half
snap.
of us out of existence.
That's your Thanos snap?
Yeah,
Infinity Gauntlet.
this is me doing salt.
Oh.
This is the snap.
The snap is kind of gay, I'm just telling you. Not that there's anything wrong with that. I'm just saying, you know. Anyway. As I said, you'll probably see Culture and Nick and even me pop up in TNT a little later. That should be linked to the show here. Culture, do you have anything besides that coming up you want to plug?
I got the 6-minute daily every weekday tomorrow morning.
And it
We
takes
had
you 12 minutes to do it.
12 and a half now. Come on. I added 30
12 and a half now? You're taking even longer? God.
The ladies do not complain. The ladies do not complain. No, it's a good time. I think I did like 17 or 19 stories today in 6 minutes. That's the rest of the time is just saying hi to the chat.
That's not
hi.
bad.
Yeah, I know.
I don't even think I could do that back in the day. Not even close.
Well, I'm good. I talk quickly, and I'm not short of opinions. But no, I've got another video coming out tomorrow. Today's video was banging. Several, lots and lots of views. The day before I thought would be more impressive because I was talking about that creepy island guy.
That got suppressed. You know that.
Oh yeah, yeah. Let me tell you, I get suppressed all the time. That's the thing. Check out my channel. Check out Nick's channel. Check out Klobby. Klobby's awesome. And then this Tom guy, he's like my hetero life mate, and then he just went and hurt my feelings again.
Yeah, maybe I'll massage him later if you're lucky.
Ooh.
All right. Well, with that, also, Nick, what do you have coming up besides TNT?
Comic Shop Talk tomorrow night. Like Lobby said, we'll be talking the Infinity Gauntlet #1. This is going to be a week-by-week review of each individual issue. So if you want to know the actual story of what inspired Infinity War Endgame, do come out to this story and see what made the comic book source material what it is. And of course, I got a video coming out Saturday, and that will be great. It'll be on gatekeeping. And then, of course, Toxic Tuesday, we'll be talking Ice and Fire, or Fire and Ice. I'm messing up my language here. And of course, you can find me here at Midnight's Edge After Dark and with Comics Division on your usual weekdays. Thank you for having me, Tom. Appreciate it. Chat, you all have a great night. I'll see some of you very soon.
All righty. And with that,
well, bye.